Hi guys, Red here with Rusk, and today I will be showing you this amazing look that I created for one of my clients because she was an active woman. So she wanted some fun, she wanted some red, but she also wanted some brightness around her face. What I love so much about this application is, as you can see, as the hair is down, we're actually able to see that there's very minimal brightness throughout here. But because she's active all the time, once she pulls that hair up, you have all of that beautiful brightness. It comes around the face, especially when she pulls her hair back or when we curl it, you're gonna see a lot of different dimension throughout here. So before I get into showing you guys how I actually do this application, what products I use, I have a question for you. How many of your clients take a selfie? I know mine do. I know I even take selfies. So before we start this class, I just want you to remember something. It's a quote, it's corny, but your hair is 99% of your selfie. So your job as the stylist is to create that amazing selfie every time for your client. So let's go ahead and get started. So this is my sectioning technique. I call this technique the halo technique because just like I said before, my client who is extremely active, she likes to wear her hair up, but she didn't want to highlight her whole head. She also wanted to create a beautiful red that was going to be easy to maintain. So this is my lovely client, Sally. So let's talk about the sectioning a little bit. So you're gonna start at the point of the center front part of the hairline. And the reason why we're doing that is because we want this effect where almost when she pulls her hair back, you can't see any of that brightness. So you're literally only giving yourself enough space for one foil. Then we are going to build that back and follow the natural curvature of the head because we want all of this to be highlighted, but we want to make this our all over color. Now, when I get into the actual products I use, a lot of this will make sense on why I do the application where I do the highlights first versus the color first. It's just for me, sign of a pro, clean as you go. So let's get into the foil application. All right, you guys, so let's go ahead and get started with our application. Now, we're imagining that our client has a center part because Gen Zers say that side parts are gross. Cool. But let's go ahead and apply our first foil. So one of the things you want to remember that doll heads generally have a very distinctive hairline. Most of my clients don't have that, so let's just imagine that this is a little bit more curved. So our first subsection is going to be pretty small because we're pretty much trying to take away that corner. Now, most of the time it will be more curved there, so when you pull that hair up, it's going to be more blended. Now, let's go ahead and start with our first foil. So again, because we do have that little corner there, I'm just gonna skim to give it so that I don't even worry about this right here because this is going to be more blended once it's pulled up. So pick up one, drop two, pick up one, drop two. That is something that was burned into my brain in beauty school. So let's talk about the product that we're gonna be using today. Today we are using the Rusk Deep Shine Ultimate Blonde Blue Powder. Why do I love this lightener? Well, it's because I am a consistency person. I like my lightener to be nice and thick so that I know that when I'm applying it, it almost looks like cake batter. I hate it when you're applying your lightener and it's like water is dripping down the foil. But what makes this lightener so great? So this lightener is a 9 levels of lift. That right there is huge for me. I don't know about a lot of you, but I do a lot of color corrections. COVID created a lot of color corrections. So I knew I needed a lightener that was going to not only get in there and truly get rid of those pigments that I didn't want, but also really protect the hair. So the Ultimate Blonde Lightener Powder also has what's called the INU Pro technology. So what that is it's really going to get through the cuticle and lift that pigment out, but be extremely nourishing. It's also gonna really make sure that that hair is protected during the lifting process. Now, I'm using a 1-to-2 mixing ratio, which is something that I honestly like just because most lighteners I have to go in with 1 to 1.5 to get the consistency that I like. But because I was so afraid by going up to a 1 to 2, it would diminish the strength in the lightener because something that I used to teach to students in cosmetology school is PIITP. What does that stand for? Power is in the powder. So the more developer that you add, traditionally will diminish the strength of the lightener, become less aggressive, but also not give you that lifting power. But with the Ultimate Blonde, that is not the case. The 1 to 2 is perfect for me, which is making it more cost effective. Now, before I move on with more product knowledge, let's talk about these next few foils. So remember that we're worried about the hairline here. So you want to follow the curvature of the head. So we're just gonna do this one last foil here. And then as we move up towards the head, we really wanna make sure that we're paying attention to this hairline. All right, so again, with our weaving technique, pick up 1, drop 2, pick up 1, drop 2, pick up 1, drop 2, pick up 1. All right, so again, with the Ultimate Blonde Blue Powder Lightener, one of the things I do want to let you guys know, because you are getting this amazing 9 levels of lift, unfortunately, you cannot apply this to the scalp. I know, bugger. But it's just because of the actual technology in its sister that you're allowed to apply it on scalp. And what is that? That is the Rusk Deep Shine Ultimate Blonde Cream Lightener. Now, the cream lightener is 7 levels of lift, and so it actually uses sea nutrient extracts to really help nourish and protect the hair, but it also uses sea oak to prevent moisture loss. I mean, that's huge because anytime we lighten someone's hair, we're always worried about that dryness. So we really want to take that into consideration, especially when we're working with lightener on or off the scalp. All right, so now I'm not done with this subsection yet, but I am getting to this point here. So this subsection is really important because you have to think about the area where they pull their hair up. So I'm actually going to take this right here along the hairline. And we're still doing just a regular weave, guys. I'm not doing anything different until I get more towards the front of the head. So here we are literally just going to weave this and leave that hair out, okay? Now, with the cream lightener, one of the other things that I really do love about it is my girlies with really fine hair or hair that's just been a little unloved. And we all know that clients love to wear their hair up, especially our blondies, and we all know that that can cause a lot of breakage. So one of the things I like to tell my clients is, you know, we may not get you as bright as we usually do, but we are also really going to focus on the health of your hair. So maybe a less level of lift lightener would be better for you. Obviously, I don't say those exact words because clients don't understand that, but you guys do. So just make sure that you're really utilizing the right lightener for each client because every single client that walks in the door is completely different. All right, so now let's go ahead and finish off this section. So what we're gonna do here is you're left with this size section. So what I like to do after I get that hairline done is do a brick lay pattern. So I'm gonna go here, and as you can see here, this is about the size of my finger. So I'm actually gonna cut that in half, but I'm gonna follow the curvature of the head. And as you can see here, that almost creates a brick lay pattern. So that's gonna just fall even more naturally for the client, especially those clients who like to wear their hair up. So as I work with this brick lay and as I work more towards the interior of the hair, I like to change up the size weave that I do. So I'm actually gonna be picking up more of a thicker weave so that I create a little bit more of that dimension. All right, guys, so I'm gonna go ahead and finish up this subsection of foiling and we'll be right back. All right, you guys, so I went ahead and finished these back parts of the foil. And as you can see here, they are slightly brick laid. So let's go ahead and move to the front. So in the front, I like to split this into 2 different sections because everyone's hairline varies. So I'm actually gonna go from the outside of the eyebrow, and this is going to be 1 section and this is going to be 2, okay? So I'm gonna go ahead and clip this up and we'll get back to that subsection and we're gonna go over here. So again, let's talk about the hairline. So this hairline is crazy. There's a lot going on here just because of that humongous triangle into that curve. So to make this easier, I'm actually going to work from this part of the hairline back. So we'll start here. And we are gonna do what I like to call an internal weave. Now, what is that? So we are taught, just like you guys saw me do there, we were taught pick up one, drop two, pick up one, drop two, pick up one, drop two, pick up one. So then your weave looks like that. You have the hair underneath, you foil what's on top. So what an internal weave, or what this is something I call you guys. You don't have to call it yourselves. But what I like to do is to do the opposite. So you're gonna drop one, pick up one, 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 drop. So that this gets clipped up and you foil this. And the reason why I do that is because when they pull their hair back, it's gonna have such a seamless blend there. Now, obviously, if you prefer to weave the other way, that's fine, because you can go in with our Deep Shine Gloss as a root tap. You can actually use the Ruskin 10 as a root tap, or Shadow Root, which I'll go into more later. But I just like to do it this way just because it does create such a beautiful soft blend around the hairline. So I'm gonna go in. You want to have your client tilt their head to the side and just kind of tell them, hey, I'm gonna be painting on your face. A lot of people are kind of weird about that. All right. So again, with the Ultimate Blonde, you guys, the other thing I want to talk about was the mixing ratios. So again, I talked a little bit about how I love that it's 1 to 2, that you can, you get that nice cake batter consistency, but you can also do 1 to 1. I've definitely used this 1 to 1 and used it for hand painting. And it was awesome. And it lifted so well, because we know that sometimes with hand painting, we don't get that nice, beautiful lift. Well, I love it because I was able to get that lift even with a 9 level of lift powder without a foil. Big fan. So I also like to fold my foils up pretty tight around the hairline so it's not annoying the client whatsoever. Alrighty, so right behind this, we're gonna go into a traditional weave. So you're gonna go ahead and you're literally going to take this section right behind it and you will weave this normally. Okay, so you're gonna take this, you are going to do just your standard weave, drop that, place your next foil. So what I also love about the Rusk developers is they're actually extremely conditioning. So what I noticed about them right when I started using them was the fact that they were so creamy. And it made the lightener just such a great consistency. It didn't make it extremely watery, but it also wasn't so thick that I couldn't apply it. So I was a big fan of the developers. Also, I know this isn't like this is a personal thing, but I love the way it smells. They smell so good. All right, so now that we've gotten those first 2 foils in, our application is gonna change a little bit. So right here, as you guys can see, is that curve, okay? So what I'm gonna do is I'm actually going to take that subsection all the way across. And the reason why I'm doing that is because, again, when people pull their hair up into a high bun, if you skip that and do just a regular highlight, there's gonna be a disconnect from the front to the back. So by switching the direction just for this one foil, it's really gonna give you that blending technique when she pulls her hair up. So literally I'm gonna weave this. Now, obviously our foils are straight. This is a curved section. So that is why whenever I do this technique, I try to apply even a little bit farther from the hairline than I normally do in a foil. Because traditionally, I would actually want to apply that all the way up here. I'm actually only going to go halfway down. Because for them to see the difference between the front and the back on how close you apply to the scalp, their top knot would have to be like all the way up here. Most girls wear their hair like I do when it comes to buns or ponytails. So because the direction is going to be diagonal, it's going to blend beautifully, even though you're far away from the scalp. All right, so one thing I want to talk about with this technique, a lot of people are like, well, how often do they come in? So the great thing about the products that I'm using today, let it be the Ultimate Blonde Powder, the Ruskin 10, the Deep Shine Gloss, all of these products are incredibly nourishing for the hair. They're also very strengthening, which I'll go into each product individually later. But one thing I do love about the actual products is that it has the most beautiful fade out. I'm obsessed with it. And my clients are loving it more and more just because they're seeing a different type of fade. It just fades more on tone. All right, so now we're gonna start working our way up the head. So as you can see here, there's a slight V. So I'm actually gonna cut that off, go horizontal, and foil here. Can you guys guess what I'm gonna do next? You guessed it, I'm gonna brick lay. The brick lay technique is so huge, especially around the front and back hairline, because of the way our hair naturally grows. We're always going to be dealing with different types of growth patterns, cowlicks, densities, texture. So it's important to think about how your clients live their daily lives. Are they the soccer mom that has her hair up in a messy bun 24/7, but still wants it to look bomb when she takes the time to wash her hair and style it? Or are they the worker that does their hair every morning, perfectly styled, perfectly coiffed? I love that word. All right. All right, guys. So we went ahead and finished this side. There is this foil here that is kind of hanging annoyingly, but that is part of my brick lay. So what we're going to do now is really care about that front hairline. So we're going to go back in with that internal weave. So like I said, traditionally we pick up first. For this, we are going to drop first and do our weave size. I tend to keep the front very, very finely weaved because this is what's going to be seen when they pull that hair back. So let's go ahead and put that here. So again, we're going to take this, we're going to grab our foil, tell your client to look down and let them know you're painting on their forehead. All righty. So again, I'm going in with my Ultimate Blonde, obsessed with it. NU Pro Technology. One of the things I do love about it though is I love using a board when I do balayages, and I just noticed that it doesn't swell. And that's huge for me, especially since I'm most of the time doing a bazillion foils or a lot of hand painting. So when I fold in the front, I like to fold multiple times. Once, make sure it's nice and flat. Twice, any excess lightener off the foil. And then one more time so that foil is not hanging in your client's face. Now, obviously, if your client has really long hair, you don't want to do that because multiple folds can cause banding. But since Sally here is a doll head, she's not going to mind. All right, so we're going to drop this down. And if you guys can see, there is literally not even enough hair here to put into a foil because you traditionally should only have one foil by that center hairline to create that effect. So what's left here is almost like an arrow. It's about a finger here and a pinpoint here. So what I'm going to do, just like I did over there, we're going to brick lay. So that first one's here. It's not technically a brick lay. It's more along the lines of you're doing like a curved diagonal back. So we're going to go ahead and drop that one. Throw this foil in. And then I'm going to drop that next foil. And then our foiling will be done. So let's check in just a minute. All right, you guys. So I went ahead and finished all of those foils. And now we're working in the top section. So I went ahead and split this section into two. I just like to apply this in two sections. Trying to do this all in one traditionally tends to leave holes. So, excuse me. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and we are going to outline our subsection first. And today I will be using Rusk in 10. I am obsessed with this stuff strictly for the 10-minute aspect. I'm going to go into it just a little bit more after I kind of explain my application. So again, we're outlining this subsection because I really want to get in there and push that hair away from the foil. Because again, even though I didn't apply all the way to the roots, work smarter, not harder. So before I actually go in and apply from roots to ends, I'm actually going to go in and do a touch-up first. So the reason why I do this is because I tend to notice that when I try to do my whole application from roots to ends, I tend to always miss like a tiny spot on the root. I'm not saying that all of you would too. This is just something that I like to do because it guarantees the proper saturation up at the scalp. So let's talk about Rusk in 10 a little bit. So one of the big things that I love about it is the shade range. The shade range is huge for me because it's not a humongous range where I feel like I need every color. It's cost efficient and it also is great for space saving. And I'm in a studio right now. So being in a studio, we are limited in space. So I love that I'm able to have every shade that I need without taking up a bunch of space. Okay, so one of the biggest things when we're applying is understanding that when we're painting each individual strand, and I did some down here, is we're going to go ahead and go back and forth like we're painting a canvas. It's important to really understand that our application needs to stay nice and clean, but we also need to fully saturate. All right, so as I'm doing this, I'm going to talk a bit about Ruskin 10 and why I love it so much. Other than it being 10 minutes, that is fantastic. But the great thing is it does use the 5 amino acids. It's vegan, it's cruelty-free, but we bend the rules when it comes to our formula. You know, one of the things is the formula that I'm using today is 6C, 6R with a line of Boost. With Boost being 100% clear, as well as being ammonia, that's going to really help boost open that cuticle and give you a more vibrancy. The other great thing about Boost is that you're able to add that to your formula to get the level you want. What do you mean, Red? Well, because Rusk is that American color and not European, and your target level should always be a level lighter than what you're choosing, one of the best things about that is you can use Boost to make make your 6 a true 6 versus your 6 being a 5. On top of that, with those reds being those pure pigments, so no brown base, you can also use Boost along with your formulations there to really show that vibrancy. I mean, you guys, look how bright that is, and that is literally 1 to 2 with Boost. And I have that beautiful, vibrant red, brown, copper that it looks like a natural color, which I love. One of the other things is that creamy consistency, obsessed with it. And also the application of it, it just makes it really smooth and really easy. All right, so now the back is already done. So now let's go ahead and move to the front. All right, so now we're gonna go ahead and move to the front. So we'll do the same thing. We are going to outline our subsection. Again, this just keeps everything nice and neat. And I'm gonna go ahead and flip her around in just a second. And we're just really applying that color. And again, I just love the consistency of this stuff. So we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna start back here. All right, so again, just like the back, I'm gonna go ahead and go in, and I'm actually going to give her a touch up before I go in and apply those ends. The other thing about Ruskin 10 is that the Marine Terra complex is crazy. It uses 5 different types of amino acids, 2 of them being soy and wheat protein. Why I love that is because it nourishes the hair. It creates body. It protects the hair. It gives it luster. It gives it shine. But the biggest thing is how conditioning it is. The cool thing is when it comes to your formulations, you can use up to 40 volume if you want. But just remember, the higher the developer, the more of the cuticle is going to be swelled, the more pigment is going to be vibrant, meaning you're going to lose that depth. So definitely for your gray coverage and your resistant grays, the 1-to-1 10 volume in 10 minutes, you guys, is going to 100% give you gray coverage. One of the other things, like when it comes to the actual formulation of these, I love that I can customize it so much with just a few shades. Those pure pigments, you're able to get in there and really create some vibrant reds. I will say though, don't forget, because we use pure pigments, if you go in for gray coverage with like a 6C and you do that with 10 volume for 10 minutes on a copper who has any type of gray, you're gonna get construction cone. So you need to make sure that you add that N to really give you that natural pigment to help cover, because all of our reds are not gonna have that brown base. All right, so I'm gonna go in here and I'm gonna do the exact same thing that I was doing, where I'm gonna take my color, I'm gonna move it side to side like I'm painting a canvas. Once I get through the ends, I'm gonna use my tint brush to comb that through, and then I'm gonna go back with whatever's left on my tint brush and move that color through each individual strand. So I'm gonna go ahead and finish this subsection. We'll move to the next part. All right, you guys, so I went ahead and finished my application. I pulled everything up and away from the foils. I wanna leave this hair in between. And the reason why, this is a beautiful level 7. So I know that my foils are gonna be nice and bright, but to add the fluidity as well as dimension, I'm gonna go ahead and apply the same color just on the roots along the hairline. So one thing I wanna say, the last thing about Ruskin 10 is what I love about it is you can also mix this to 1 to 3 to shear it down to make sure that it makes it more of a root shadow or more of a toner. And as we're applying this, it's easy for me just to like lift this up, and I'm literally just tapping those roots and almost giving it like a 1/2 inch of a root tap. You can't really call it a shadow just because I'm just adding it to the roots to really just give that fluid from the foils up into the color area. So again, Rusk in 10, what is it about? It is a 10-minute color that you can use 10 volume for 100% gray coverage for both regular and resistant gray. You can also utilize it for toners by mixing it 1, 2, 3. You can mix it with 20 volume if you're looking for more vibrancy. You can use Boost to really help with that vibrancy. And you can also go ahead and just customize it for each and every client. It utilizes that Marine Terra technology. So you're getting that soy protein, wheat protein, 3 other amino acids. You're getting that vegan, cruelty-free, everything you would need from your regular permanent color, but in 10 minutes with more features and benefits. So I'm going to go ahead and finish my root tap, and we will be back to discuss toners. All right, you guys, so we're almost done. So I have the toner on now, and these are the amazing Deep Shine Express glosses. Obsessed with them. There's 25 different shades, even more than that, so 25 plus shades, my bad. But one of the things that I actually love about it is it contains oleic acid, and oleic acid is really going to help nourish the hair, create beautiful shine. It also has that marine extract, which is really going to help keep the hair soft and strong. One of the really cool things about this, though, this is PPD ammonia free, but you can also use 10 volume to base pump with it. It helps really blend those grays, and it just has beautiful pigment. Today I'm actually using equal parts of 8N and 9P, equal parts with our Zero Lift developer. And what this is going to do is just deposit only. So I'm going to show you guys the end result in just a bit, and we'll review what we learned today. All right, you guys, we are totally done, and it looks so good. Halo technique for the win. So as you can see here, because I went in and waved it, you can see all that beautiful brightness in the front. You can see that rich, beautiful red copper, just beautiful shine, beautiful pigmentation. I'm obsessed with it. I also love with that halo technique, she pulls her hair up. It's super bright and beautiful. And Sally is very happy. So just a quick review, you guys. So we went in today with that Ultimate Blonde Blue Powder Lightener, 9 levels of lift, NU Pro technology to protect the hair. We went in with our Rusk in 10, which is a 10-minute permanent color that is going to give us 100% gray coverage. It's also going to be great for that resistant gray. It has the vegan, cruelty-free, and it really gets in there and just creates beautiful color. I am obsessed with it. And then we went in and toned with our Deep Shine Express toners in 8N and 9P. We love it. Oleic acid makes that hair nice and soft and beautiful. So I just want to end the day, you guys. Can we all agree that these Rusk products are amazing? I'm obsessed. They smell so good, even the developers. So I'm just going to end today on another corny quote that I love so much is, our hair is the crown that we never take off. And I really like this crown. Thanks so much, you guys. Have a good day. Bye.